I think there's a reason why until recently across the country there haven't really been any arrests or police on protester violence of any kind, as we saw in the G20 in Toronto, obviously. Um, and that is because Stephen Harper has been trying to downplay this. He said in the start, while Obama at least acknowledged that the people have a reason to be upset, Harper said, I think it's a very different thing here in Canada. So he's been downplaying this and not letting this get into the mainstream media to build us up. But what's happening is that he can't control these mayors. And you have these mayors trying to manage their towns, as here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, with Peter Kelly, the mayor of Halifax, deciding to evict people from the public park. And so those people were thrown in jail for having tents on a public park without permission. Even though they pay taxes, to keep those parks looked after. So I mean, that's pretty pathetic. It's a pretty low thing. And for all these people that are saying, well, you guys can still protest, you don't have to put tents. Yes, they do. It's called Occupy. The original point of Occupy is that it's supposed to be civil resistance, not just protesting. When I see these people chanting change, 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 I'm so disappointed, because that doesn't change anything. Change comes from action. And when I'm saying action is that I believe in peaceful action, but peaceful civil resistance, as Muhammad Gandhi or Gandhi proved. He defeated the whole British Empire peacefully by practicing civil resistance. When the people are saying no to the powers that be, we're not going to go along with this anymore, the people are free. It's just getting there. It's getting there. And forcing the authorities to crumble and to break and to lash out is part of it, unfortunately. And when you go to these protests, you have to be prepared to spend a day or two, or apparently more than that, as was the case in Halifax, in jail for this. It's not a question of what's right or wrong, of course, because the system is so grossly corrupt. That's why we're fighting, and various different people are fighting in various different ways. But we're all fighting in different ways to try to change what's happening. I myself haven't gotten down yet to the Occupy in Halifax because simply I haven't had the transportation. I don't have a car. Anyone who could have driven me has either been sick or otherwise unable to drive me down. There was a bus that used to go through here, so I was planning on taking the bus. I think last Saturday was my plan, but then I discovered that the bus is no longer going through here. Then I heard about a shuttle, and I've been trying to find that, but now I'm going back to work again, so that's not quite working out. I'm determined, come hell or high water, I'm going to get down there. I've been speaking every day to people involved in Occupy Nova Scotia, as it's being called now. On my new Facebook page, and supporting these people and finding out as much as I can and trying to connect and seeing how serious they are. I support Occupy Movement big time, and the thing is, though, and they're going to have to get a lot more serious with what they're doing. Again, chanting change, change, change isn't going to change anything. It's got to be action, and I doubt you're going to see me holding a sign that says change and just walking around chanting. I'd love to get involved, but I'm going to be getting involved in ways that's in my mind and in my heart that I feel is going to change things. And that's going to be taking direct action. What I would highly recommend the Occupy movement doing is to find a building. For Halifax, obviously, that would be the mayor's building, and which is the Halifax City Hall, and forming a line around that building and not letting the mayor into the building, demanding that he step down. Now, of course, that will likely result in everyone being arrested. But again, that's part of civil resistance. That's part of how we fight. Muhammad Gandhi explained, first they'll fight you and then you win. That's part of it. What's happening, these mayors are losing their cool. They're breaking down and they're having people arrested because they can't take the pressure. Harper can sit back and just let this go, hope it just goes away. But these mayors are trying to manage their cities, and they're seeing this in their streets. It's different for them. And they're losing their cool. They're breaking down, and they're doing this. That's great. That's a sign of victory in a modest way. That being said, again, I want to make it clear, this is just the beginning. This movement has a long way to go. It's going to have to get a lot bigger and a lot louder. And I hope it's going to be peaceful. It's going to be with the love and respect that I've seen and so far, but more so actually. There's going to have to be a stronger sense of community in this and people connecting to each other and coming into this together. There's a lot of togetherness, but there are still some divisions I've seen. But together, definitely, this strong sense of community, peacefully, this can be fought and it can be achieved. But this is going to be a long, hard fight. And you know damn well that that the think tanks are busy at work right now, finding ways to penetrate and to corrupt, to destroy this movement. They're not going to do that. It's not going to be successful altogether, because this is an idea that's come about from the people of all walks of life coming together to take a stand. It's organic, it's grassroots. They're not going to be able to corrupt it completely. They can corrupt certain aspects of it, but the movement itself is just going to keep going. It's going to keep expanding. But what they can do is discredit it in the minds of TV viewers who don't have access to the internet or any alternative media and only know what they see on the TV screen. They can turn them against the people. And I think that the Occupy movement, one thing that they're seriously overlooking is Stephen Harper. The man is Canada's first dictator because he controls the whole damn system. Everyone in his party has to do exactly as he says. They all vote a certain way. They're cult-like. They're not allowed to think for themselves, have their own opinions. He stacked the Senate with his own people. He controls the whole system. And he does whatever the hell he wants to do, and no one dare step out of line with him. Does that describe the leader of a democratic country to you? No. That describes a dictator by definition. Stephen Harper is Canada's first dictator, and most Canadians don't get it yet. Some are getting it. I've heard people get it, but a lot of people don't fully grasp it yet. I'm glad this movement isn't all about Stephen Harper, because obviously he's only one part of a very large problem, but the man is very dangerous because a lot of power is in the hands of one man, a man who doesn't have the character to be the leader of a nation. And that's why he can't deal and work with other people. He's small and insecure. He's a vicious strategist, but he doesn't have the character to talk and to work things out or to debate things with people. He lacks the character that a leader needs. And look what happened at the G20 in Toronto. That is a taste, that is a hint of what is going to happen to the Occupy movement as it gets bigger and more, and it expands, becomes louder, and Harper begins to really sweat and panic. When Harper breaks in, which it has to happen, that's a part of this, is breaking the system, essentially, breaking them down psychologically, strength to the people and strength away from those in power. This is psychological, it's a battle of ideas. So it's going to be a long and difficult struggle, but when Harper breaks down and he resorts to desperate actions, it's not going to be fun to be part of this Occupy movement. At the same time, as you're going to see what happened at G20 magnified, the mainstream media is going to be working damage patrol and trying to portray the Occupy movement as criminal. And by the way, I found it interesting how these media figures who talk so, and leaders and political leaders who talk so passionately about the right to protest and to stand up and defy your leadership in other countries. When they talk about it happening in other countries, it's a beautiful thing, and those leaders better not stop those people from standing up and speaking out or occupying a park or whatever. They better not. They better, you know, boy, are they ever passionate. But when that happens here in Canada, it's a completely different thing. This is uncalled for. This is unnecessary. This is horrible. Remove their tents. Throw them away. Oh my God, we can't have that here. It's completely the opposite. And it shows them all to be a bunch of friggin' hypocrites, politicians and media figures alike. Anyway, I just wanted to point this out and give my continued support to the Occupy movement in every way that I can. And I will be with you in the long run, and come hell or high water, I am going to be physically there, and I'm going to be involved in this as much as I can. But it's going to have to take itself more seriously, and again, this is just the beginning. We can't have too high of expectations in these early days. Peace.